Hi, this is Tato from DYT. We are going to do algebra from grade 12 mathematics, question 1 on the question paper. Okay, our first question is solve for x on equation x squared minus 6x is equals to 0. So you may take a minute to pause the video and try the question before you see the solution. So it's fine. What do we do first? You can first factorize your x, then it's x into x minus 6 equals to 0. Now, for the product to be 0, one of this has to be 0. So it's either x is equals to 0 or x minus 6 it's equals to 0, of which x is equals to positive 6. Now you can verify the solution by substituting back to the original equation, where you take x is equals to 0 squared minus 6 into 0 equals to 0. Then this squared is 0, 6 times 0 is equals to 0, of which it's 0. Or alternatively, you check the other solution. In fact, you have to check both of them whether you are correct or not. So now you also have 6 squared minus 6 into 6. Will it even be equals to 0? Then it will be 36 minus 6 times 6 is 36, of which is equals to 0. So both of these holds, then your solution is correct. Okay. Now let's check our second equation. Our second equation is x squared plus 10x plus 8 is equals to 0. Okay, to matriculants and grade 11 learners, when the equation is written correct to 2 decimal places, then immediately just know that you have to use quadratic formula. And your quadratic formula goes like x it's equals to minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, which one is your b, which one is your a? According to our quadratic equation, here is our a, this is our b, this is our c. Now let us substitute. So when we substitute, we are going to have minus b, it's 10, so it's 10 into plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 10 squared into bracket minus 4. Our a is 1 and our c is 8. All of these are under square root divided by 2 into a, of which is 1. So to simplify this further, negative 10 divided by 2, you get minus 5. Taking positive first, it's plus. Then inside the bracket, we're going to have 100. 10 squared is 100. Okay. Let me try to write with a different color. Okay. So I'm going to try with a different pen. 10 squared to have 100 minus 32, which is equals to 68. Okay. So that means this thing amounts to the square root of 68. Now, since we have divided our term by 2 to get our negative 5, we have the square root of 68 divided by 2, of which doesn't look good. So what is it that we can divide by 2? Then it's 1. So it has to be the square root of 4 times a certain number, of which is 17. This will equals to the square root of 4 times the square root of 17. Square root of 4 is 2 divided by 2, then it's 1. So this plus minus the square root of 4 times the square root of 17 over 2, which everything is equal to minus 5 plus minus the square root of 17. The square root of 4 is 2, then 2 will cancel. Okay, so these are the two solutions because it's plus minus this. Right, can we check the next question? Okay, this is the next question, and it's also solve for x. So here we have no problems because they have already factored for us. So we have 1 minus x is less than 0. So 1 is less than x, or x plus 2 is less than 0. X is less than negative 2. So how can x be less than negative 2 and greater than 2? So if we were to draw, for example, in a quadratic formula, not quadratic formula, a graph or a number line, we are going to have our negative 2 here. Okay, so when you have a number line like this, you can see it says x is greater than 1. That means x values are from 1 to this side of the number line, and x is less than negative 2, and also goes to this side of the number line. So these points are not included because it's not less than or equals to or greater than or equals to. So that's why there are open dots. Okay, so here we have another solve for x equation. The equation appears like this, where it has a square root of x plus 8 is equals to x minus 2. So now my advice is for you to get rid of the square root so that you can take all variables to one side of the equation and be able to solve for your x. So if we square both sides, we are going to have the root of x plus 18. I'm sorry, it's 18, not 8, plus 18 squared, which is equals to x minus 2 squared. So the squared is going to cancel the square root here. Then we are going to be having x plus 18 on the left hand side. Okay, now I'm going back to blue. X plus 18, which is equals to, now I'm going to FOIL this. So because this is also equals to x minus 2 into x minus 2. So if I FOIL this here, I'm going to have x squared minus 4x minus 2x minus 2x plus 4. Okay, so now I take everything here to the right hand side so that I remain with 0 this side. So 0 is equals to x squared. Now this is negative, this is positive. When it goes to the other side, it becomes negative. We have minus 5x. When it comes this side, it's negative. So we have negative plus 4 is equals to negative 14. Okay, so now I need the factors of 14. When I add or subtract them, that will give me 5. So factors of 14, we have 1, we have 2, we have 7, and 14 itself. So this is x, this is x. So if I have negative 7 positive 2 and I multiply them together, I'm going to have negative 14, and if I add them together I get negative 5. Okay, so that means x is equals to 7, or x is equals to minus 2. So I'm sorry I jumped a step. We have to say x minus 7 is equals to 0, or x plus 2 is equals to 0. Then you come to this step. You can also verify by substituting each of the x value to the original equation and check if it validates. Okay, now the interesting part. We have simultaneous equation. This is x plus y is equals to 3. Then we have 2x squared plus 4xy minus y equals to 15. Okay, so the instruction says solve for x and y simultaneously. Okay, the golden rule: whenever you solve for x and y, you get rid of one variable. So I'm going to get rid of x by saying x is equals to 3 minus y. So this is my x value here. Okay, so now I'm going to substitute x with this equation of 3 minus y. So from this equation I have 2 into, now I'm substituting x with 3 minus y squared plus 4y into this x, of which it's 3 minus y. Okay, minus y is equals to 50. Now let us simplify this. So we have 2 into 3 multiplied by 3, it's 9, minus y times 3, it's minus 3y, so we have minus 6y plus y squared plus 4 times 3, it's 12, y minus 4y squared minus y equals to 15. Now let us simplify. 2 times y squared is positive 2y squared minus 4, so we have negative 2y squared. Then 2 times minus 6, it's minus 12. Cancel, so I only have this y variable minus y. 2 times 9, it's 18, positive 18. 15 comes this side, it becomes minus 50, and then it's minus 3 equals to 0. So now I have to factor out this equation. Okay, I think I might have made a mistake here. Positive 18 minus 15, it's not negative 3, instead it's positive 3. So now the factors of this must be 2x, I think, plus 3 into x positive. Okay. Let me see, minus 1. Okay. Equals to 0. So if I say 2 times 2, then I get positive 2xy. I'm really sorry, I forgot that I'm dealing with my y, not my x. So we should be careful with these small mistakes. So the variable that we are using is our y, not x. Forgive me for that. So if we say this multiplied by that, just to verify that we factored correctly, it's gonna be 2y squared, this multiplied by that, minus 2y, this multiplied by that, plus 3y negative 3 equals to 0, right? So this would be positive y. If we multiply everything by negative, this would be negative, this would be negative, this should be positive, then it goes back to the original equation. So that means our factors are correct. Because of space, I'm gonna write with another different color. So that means our 2y plus 3 equals to 0, or y minus 1 equals to 0. So y is equals to 1, and here y is equals to minus 3 over 2. So this is our y values. So if you quickly want x, you take these two values, you substitute them into this equation. So to substitute it back, we would say it's 3 minus y, where y is 1. So our first x value, we have x is equals to 2, then 3 minus another one, we're gonna have 3 minus into minus 3 over 2. Okay, so I'm gonna erase the part that I do not need. I'm gonna erase this part since I have my y values, since I do not need it. Get bigger, Robert, get bigger, please. Okay, I think the space should do now. Let me clear up this and this again. Okay, so our first x value is 2. Now we have 3. 3 can be written as 9 over 3, of which it will be equals to 3, minus into negative of this, then it becomes positive 3 over 2. This can be written as 3, but I need something with a base of 2. So I'm gonna have to wrap this one. So which number that you divide by 2 is equals to 3? That's 6. So now I'm going to have 6 over 2. This is also 3. So if I add these 2, I'm gonna have 9 over 2, of which is 4,5. So we have x is equals to 4,5 and x is equals to 2 with this y values. So when y is equals to 1, x is 2. When y is this, x is equals to 4,549 over 2. Okay, so another question is, we have x squared plus 5x minus 6 is equals to 0. Okay, so this one you can factorize it straightforward. What are the two factors of 6 that if you add them and subtract them together, they can give you 5? Okay, so that should be positive 6 and negative 1. Positive 6x minus 1, because if you add these two, should be positive 5. Now x plus 6 is equals to 0, or x minus 1 is equals to 0. Now x x is equals to minus 6, or x is equals to 1. To verify this, you can substitute negative 6 here and 1 and check that the left hand side will equals to the right hand side. Okay, now another equation that we have is 4x squared plus 3x minus 5 is equals to 0. Now you can pause a video and work out this. Remember, the motive is to know, not to watch it being done. Okay, so let's check what are the factors of 5 that you can add and subtract, then they give you 3. Okay, so if you do 5 and 1, they will never give you 3, and those are the factors of 5. And keep note of the okay, so if you see on your question paper or whatever, when they say round off to 2 or nearest 2 decimal places, just know that you won't be able to factorize your equation. So they are basically giving you a clue that you can use your quadratic equation, of which it states that x will be equals to negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so now this is your a, this is your b, this is your c. Now let us substitute. If we go to our substitution, we have negative, the value of b is positive 3, okay, and plus minus the square root of b squared, of which is 3 squared, minus 4a is 4, and then c is minus 5 divided by 2a, I mean not 2a like that, but 2a, of which a is 4. Okay, now we have negative 3 divided by 8 there, okay, here we go again. We have our inequality equation. So we have 4x squared minus 1 is less than 0. So okay, so you can go ahead, pause the video and see if you can solve the equation. So now you can see we do not have x on 2 items or on the 2 terms, so you cannot say I factorize. So the quickest way to solve this is to transpose. Yeah. So if you transpose your 1, that means 4x squared is less than positive 1. And if you divide by 4, you have x squared less than 1 over 4. Now the square root of this, the square root of x is x. Then if you take the root of this, you're gonna have plus minus 1/2. Okay, so now this should make sense, because if you square the x, it really doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, because it will be squared, and this should be your final answer. So x value is okay. This is our next question. It's also solved for the variable x. Okay, this is interesting. We have square root inside the square root. So if we multiply the two terms, I'll take this one as a 10, take this one as a 10. So if we multiply them, we simply just remove the square root. So all this thing will remain as the square root of 32 plus x into the square root of 32 minus x is equals to x. Why am I writing it this way? It's because this guy here, they cancel one another. Okay, so now I can distribute it in a FOIL method. So the root of 32 multiply the root of 32, this is simply 32, then minus x root of 32 plus x the root of 32 minus x squared is equals to x. Now these two items, they will cancel each other, and all we have now is x squared minus 32 is equals to 0. So if I transpose my 32 to the okay, forgive me, I missed a term here. There was supposed to be x. Okay, so I also missed a term here. Alright, there we go. So now I'm going to transpose my x to have negative x, then negative 32. But if I multiply it like everything by negative, this will be positive, this will be negative, this will be negative from this side. After transposing it, it becomes positive, then it equals to 0. Now let us check what are the factors of 32 that you can add and subtract, then they give you positive 1. Okay, so I don't see any nearest factors, because 6 and 5 give you 32, not 32. So we will use the quadratic formula. So if you plug everything, taking this as your A, your B, and your C into quadratic formula, you are going to get your x is equals to negative 1 plus the square root of 129 divided by 2, or negative 1 negative the square root of 129 over 2. So this should be your final solutions. Okay, now let us look at another question. Solve for x and y simultaneously. So we have our y plus x, we is equals to 12 and xy is equals to minus, not negative, but it's just 14 minus 3x. Okay, so this is our equation. So firstly, I'm going to get rid of my y by rewriting this equation in a form of y. So y would be equals to 12 minus x. Then I take this and substitute it to this equation. So I'm going to have my x into my y, of which is 12 minus x. Okay, is equals to 14 minus 3x. If I distribute this, I'm going to have 12x minus x squared, which is equals to 14 minus 3x. So I just take everything to this side. When I have 0 is equals to x squared, the positive one, minus 12x when it comes to this side, minus 3 is equals to minus 15x. 14 remains positive 14. Now, what are the factors of 15? I mean the factors of 14 that if you add them and you subtract them from one another, they give you 15. So we have x like this, we also have x. So from here, 14 and 1, if you add them together, they can give you 15. But since it's negative 15, you take minus 1 and minus 14. So x is equals to positive 1, or x is equals to positive 14. And now, with that being said, we go back to this equation. Y is equals to 12 minus 1, which is equals to 11, or y is equals to 12 minus 14, which is equals to minus 2. 2 values for y, 2 values for x, and the simultaneous equation is solved. So, but you can still check and verify to substitute in either of these equations and check if the equations will match. Okay, so guys, this is the end of the session. Please again, do not forget to like the video, subscribe, and just tune in for the next session. Okay, thanks and bye.